Listen, right now you could be only a few clicks away from experiencing something amazing, something that has changed thousands of lives all over the world. I'm talking about a high consciousness field similar to those at pilgrimage sites and sacred places. It's where people go to heal, to connect, and to become the best possible version of themselves. With FLFE, you can bring such a high consciousness field into your home right now. It's a spiritual quantum technology based on the work of Nikola Tesla. Better sleep, more energy, greater well-being, improved finances, electrosmog mitigation. These are only some of the things people on the FLFE service are experiencing. Try it now for 15 days completely free of charge, no credit card needed. Just click on a link down below to start your free, no strings attached FLFE trial right now. Hey, Inspire Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers. It's John Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me just make sure that you can actually hear me. There you go. You can hear me. It is Tuesday, May 21st. We're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free. Thank you for being here. Welcome on YouTube, Rumble, and X. Welcome also in a live chat. I see Sharon is here. Sharon, man, you've been on a roll every live stream. That's amazing. Andrew is here. Brenda is here. Raymond, good to see you. You are on double duty today, Raymond. Tom Gallagher is here. Raymond joined us for the live in our locals community. And I see Melanie, good to see you. Christina, wonderful to see you. Karen is here. So good to see you all. Okay, my friends. So your friends and family think you're nuts, you're crazy, you're a tinfoil hat, you're a conspiracy theorist. You have lost your marbles, and they cannot relate to you whatsoever any longer. Welcome to the club. That is what most of my life has been. Our lives have been anyways, but there's something much deeper going on here, something that is underlying, and I want to dive into that a little bit. But first, let's talk about how this has changed in the last years. And I want to start with 2010, 2011. So that was the time probably where Christine and I were diving a lot into the concept that there's going to be a split in reality, if you will. And we didn't quite grasp what that might mean, because compared to today, 13, 14 years later, the world was still very much programmed into the normative society values. And so we were literally fringe, a small community. And so when we heard some people say that at one point there will be a split and people will fall away and it will start changing dramatically, we weren't quite able to conceptualize what that might look like. It's of course become much clearer in the last 4 years. So, but here's what happens in the beginning when somebody is on an awakening journey, whether that's political awakening or whether that's health awakening, science awakening, spiritual awakening, which then starts to spill over into all the other fields. What is beginning to happen in the beginning is you're just exploring subject by subject by subject. So you're going, and let's just take this here, okay? H2O, water in a glass. Now, this is obviously, you know me, this is not tap water. But if I had tap water in this glass, at some point I explored the subject of tap water. What chemicals are in there? Why is fluoride in there? What else? How's it being prepared? How's it being filtered? And all of that. So then if I would go into a conversation and somebody would ask me, hey, do you want a glass of water? And they would go to their faucet and say, hell no, I don't want that water. And we would have a conversation about it. And they could say, oh, I've never heard that. That sounds, well, kind of conspiracy-ish. And you can back it up, but you're still inhabiting the same space as that person. You're still using the same vocabulary. You're still pretty much still agreeing on the same basic things of life. You are simply questioning or telling that person that tap water is not good for you because of all the shit that's in there. So what has happened and what is happening on a much larger scale is that people are not just questioning isolated subjects or isolated theories, but they are questioning everything and the fabric of what holds society together. They are wondering why we have 12 months in a year, maybe why a year is 365 days. Why nothing is in sync with the moon cycles. What are the moon cycles? What is the moon? Is the moon natural, artificial? Are we living in the matrix? Wait a minute, have we been conditioned by a false music system? Has the frequency of music been changed? You begin going into all this, and what begins to happen in your mind automatically over time is you have a baseline reality shift that is happening. So while it still appears that you're using the same language and the same concepts than normative society, you're actually not. It doesn't automatically mean you have come to completely different conclusions. It usually means you're on an exploration journey and you're discovering what isn't true. And that the more you discover, the more you realize that nothing holds that scrutiny. Nothing holds up in that scrutiny. So then when you are in a conversation with people that have decided to remain fully programmed and they had to decide to trust me, you cannot live in 2024 and not see the plethora of information outside of the mainstream. There's no way you can do that. But what you can do is choose to ignore it. You can choose to pretend that it's not happening, and you can simply turn on CNN or Fox or whatever people are watching in whatever country, your normative programmed news program, so you don't have to question or even begin to redefine your framework of how you view reality. Let's leave the simulation or the construct out of this. Let's just talk about what's happening within this. So then people see everything that they see, and everything that they explore is what they're being told it is. You know, they this is a smartphone, so it makes life easier. It makes it easier for you to call people. You can email, you can surf online, you can go on social media. When you look at this, you might have a very different view, and you realize that the introduction into our lives of this had a completely different purpose, that these services are simply the goodies with how they brought this to people. They might call something food. They drive by a fast food restaurant and they think that's food that's going to nourish them. And you see a place of poisoning. And on and on and on the story goes. Eventually, what happens is that you're still maybe physically inhabiting the same space as they are, but you're not speaking the same language, and you're not perceiving life and reality in even remotely the same way. Because there is no tangible, objective reality as such. Here where we are, there is simply the perceptual interpretation of your reality. And that's why two people can live in the same house and share the same space and have a completely different experience. They can view pretty much everything completely different because it is our perception, and it is how we decode what we see and hear and smell and taste and touch that determines how we interpret the reality that we live in. Now, there are some things that most people seem to interpret the same way, like fire burns and water flows, or it freezes, or it evaporates. But there are some sort of observable, objective truths of this reality that remain true. I'm talking more about societal contracts and societal norms, normative behaviors, and all of that. And so when they say you are crazy And when they say you're a tinfoil hat or they don't understand what you're saying whatsoever, is because you have altered your perception of reality from theirs in a fundamental way. And at some point, the split is so big that even though you might still live in the same house and you might still seemingly speak the same language, you do not comprehend each other any longer. It's probably easier for you to comprehend where they're coming from because they're part of a very big program than it's for them to comprehend what you might even be thinking. The reason why this topic is important, in my view, is because it can drive us insane if we try to remedy the situation. You cannot really do anything about that other than stay true to your journey and who you are and accept them for theirs. As much as it might seem necessary for you to try to shake them and wake them and do all of that, we have to honor that everybody has their journey and everybody has their tempo, and some will never and could never deprogram from what they're in. Maybe that capability is not even there. We go into vastly different territory here, maybe an NPC territory. I don't want to touch on that today. What this is about is your well-being, your spiritual, your physical, and your mental health. And sort of flying blind for a little bit, because there is no parallel society yet. There are pockets, there are groups, there are communities, but there's no parallel society yet where you could find many, many people that perceive things in the exact same way you do. We are on an exploration journey. We're on an awakening journey. And the only thing we can really commit to is to continue that awakening journey and continue the exploration of truth. I think that is the wisest thing to do rather than try to land on something and define that strongly. Let's look at what we can find and continue looking for that. The other thing is to release all the people in your life from all your unspoken and spoken expectations that they have to get it, that they have to wake up, that they have to see it, that they have to see what you can see. The more you try to push for that, usually the greater of a repellent you're going to be. And the truth is that something inside of them has to be challenged or hurt or triggered. Something big has to happen in their lives. And it has for many people. Many people have believed the story, have accepted a certain treatment, you know what I'm talking about, and have been injured or worse. And that has created an irrevocable shift. Now, that doesn't mean that they apply this to all areas of their lives. And so the difference before was 20 years ago was you had conspiracy theorists and they simply said, oh, well, 9/11 was a conspiracy, or the Iraq War, the first one was a conspiracy, or this or that. And there's the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and whatnot, and the Club of Rome and the Committee of 300. But ultimately, um, the various groups were still inhabiting the same space and still able to decode normative reality in the same way. Now we're in a completely different experience. So eventually, the difference in frequency and in vibration between where the awakening journey leads people and where the normative, the programmed journey leads people, it will be so big that I believe we will physically inhabit different realities. And to a certain extent, that might already be happening. Where at a time in our past, we might have seen more and more of those people and had more confrontations and more conversations. That seems to be less and less the case. I think there will be a time where this timeline split will really manifest physically, clearly, and you won't have certain people in your reality any longer that are too far removed from your frequency, because there's only a bandwidth that can coexist that is only so far. In my experience, if you want to have a positive effect, it's less the words, it's less the articles that you send them or the videos that you send them. There's such a wall that people have built, those who don't want to see, that they will not read anything you sent them. They will not watch anything you sent them. It's not about evidence. And this is what so many people in this awakening journey don't want or can comprehend. Evidence doesn't matter when we're talking about programming and when we're talking about hypnosis and when we're talking about mind control. It isn't about what is factually true. It is about the sources of information, and that programming, that certain sources give you the truth and everything else is just fiction. So when people have been programmed that the news gives you the important facts of the day, and they have experienced that from the time they were born because their parents had TV on all the time, they watched CNN or they watched something, and that's how they base their life decisions on, depending on what was on the news, because the news gives you the facts, that naturally that child will grow up subconsciously believing that what they see on CNN is the truth. There's virtually nothing you can do about that because it is programming, it is mind control, it is literally hypnosis. And unless in that person's life something happens that shows the discrepancy so big, or the harm that was done to them because of the insincerity, maybe then something can happen. What I have noticed does work is you living your life with integrity and staying true to your journey, to your intuition, to what you find, to who you are. Now that is attractive, because the more that you are in that balanced and rooted and grounded place, the more peace and the more harmony and the more of all of that you exude. And that is deeply attractive to people because that's what they don't have. They don't have peace. They don't have harmony. They're in a constant state of stress, worry, and fear. And so when then there is a peaceful energy, a peaceful person around them, harmonious, that seems to be very much in tune with themselves and with spirit, if you will, that has a deep effect on them, more than your words. So we have pretty much completely stopped trying to convince anyone of anything, having an argument about something, because you and I, we might believe that we're arguing or talking about facts. The other person doesn't see it that way. They are arguing for their belief systems, their limitations. They're arguing to not have to change. That's what their argument is about. So they will do anything and everything to defend their version of reality so they don't have to change and have any pain and suffering in the process. There's nothing that you can say that will persuade them. So the mountains of evidence are usually not what persuades people. It is their personal experience. When a way that they have, a path that they have walked turns out to be so painful and so erroneous, so wrong, that it hurts them deeply, eventually they might look within and go, okay, I need to change. I need to change. That is the first step. And that's not something you can force people to do or talk people into. You walking that path, you being that example, you being that shining light is the best thing you can do and the most effective tool. So it does help to realize you're not alone, sure. And it does help, as we've been saying, to use any tools at your disposal to connect with people that are, I don't want to say like-minded, because minds are very different, but that are on a similar journey, the journey of exploration. And it is beautiful to see that when you sit around a table with people that are open and willing to explore, that it isn't about convincing each other of one thing. It's about sharing and elevating and being together and creating a field of harmony that resonates with truth. This is really what happens when people get together. when people scream at each other and try to tell each other that you're wrong and I'm right, nothing happens. There's nothing good that ever happens from that. So if that's your spouse, I know this is difficult. If that's your parent, or if that's your child, or if that's your siblings, or your colleagues and close friends, people that you shared so much in your life with, when you're having this experience, honor yourself and honor them. That's the best thing you can do. And when we assume between adults that we know what's best for someone else, and that we know better than them what's good for them, and we basically force ourselves on them, then we're taking away their dignity. We're not doing anything positive. I have never believed in the principle that one adult decides over another adult, no matter what their decision is, and goes, I am going to prevent you from making that decision because it's bad for you and I know better. We are taking away other people's dignity. And that is never a good thing. And it doesn't work that way. The more lights that are shining and walking this earth, the more people who are in their process of healing and awakening and exuding more harmonious and balanced energy, the better the collective will get. Because we do not live the life that we want and we think about. We live the life according to what and who we are. That's what life gives us, is what we are, the equivalent of what we are. And it will give you more and more experiences. If you're confident in your journey and confident in who you are, then life will give you more and more experiences that match that. That is really a law. That's not a woo woo out there spiritual. That is tried and proven. It's tried and proven. You cannot be an a peaceful, harmonious being and be at constant war with life all the time. Those two things don't match and don't go together. So people have asked us many, many times, what should I do? Should I divorce? Should I walk away? We can't tell anyone what to do. What we can tell you is that that ability and the clarity is already within you. You might not have chosen to listen yet or to hear it properly, but it is within you. And the more that we again become those harmonious, balanced beings and connect deeper with spirit, the clearer our life's decisions become. And they might be very, very surprising to us. And these are not decisions that are the same for everyone. For someone, one thing might work, and for the other person, another thing might work. So there is no one size fits all solution. The best thing is to stay true to what you're hearing, to that little voice. Everybody has a little voice, maybe multiple little voices, split personalities. No, what I mean is, you know, the forces that want you to slip more and more into confusion and darkness and all of that. I mean, there's a voice too, but then there's another voice, and that voice is so beautiful. It encourages you to believe in yourself. It encourages you to believe in your inherent skills, talents, and to trust your intuition, to connect deeper with it. That's a good voice. I would listen to that. It has served me and allowed me to serve in so many ways. Um, we have to at some point, I think, withdraw from our sort of obsession with trying to convince so many people of so many things. There's there's only so much you can do for others. And I think in a conversation we had maybe a year ago, Max Egan said something that I thought about for a while. He said, it's really a time where you have to take good care of yourself, where you have to honor your decisions, where you have to honor your guidance. And no matter what others say, uh, you can't slow yourself down for them any longer. You can't hold yourself back for them any longer. You can't lower your own frequency and vibration for them any longer. and you can't make yourself smaller for them any longer. This is sort of what I derived from this conversation. Uh, this is not a time to play small. This is not a time to hide. This is not a time to not be who you are. And if people can't stand that light, if they're blinded by it, if they're hurt by it, well, that's their problem. And that's their journey. And if they want to fight you, hate you, that's their karma they're creating. Because in order for someone to hate on someone else, guess who experiences that hate first and foremost? The hater. It's in them. It's a virus. It's an infection. It's horrible. So, don't fall for that. Don't engage in it. There's no value in it. There's nothing to be gained. And remind yourself daily that you truly are an infinite being having a finite experience here. That the good, the bad, the ugly, it's eventually going to pass and something new will begin. And that this is not the beginning, it's not the end, it's an experience. Let's do the best we can. Let's encourage each other, remind each other, inspire each other, help each other, sure. But not at the expense of our own journeys and at the expense of our own well-being and our own balance. No. So I'll give you one of my favorite analogies for that is, and I've shared this story many times, but I think it's always so. Oh, thank you so much. 13 more for your contribution. Really appreciate it. Thank you. It's something I've shared many times. When someone is lying on the ground and they need help, and you stretch out your arm to help pull them up. Now, what you're going to do is stretch out your arm, and when they grab your arm, you're going to pull, and you expect of them to pull themselves up as well, right? When in turn they try pulling you down, there's only one thing you can do: let go. This is what most people in normative society, they don't want real help to solve their problem. What they want is someone to wallow in their shit with. They want to pull people down, and they want you to feel miserable with them so they're not alone in it. Let go. Don't ever, ever, ever do that. Nobody's helped by that. Ever has in the history of humanity has ever been helped by that. If you can, give someone a hand up or a leg up, and they will help themselves too in the process. If they don't, let go, walk away. Sorry, it's harsh. That's the truth. Nothing else works. Everything else is bullshit. It's a mind virus. It's an infection of our own minds when we believe that we can do that for others. You cannot help anyone that does not want to be helped. It's the greatest illusion in life, and the people who are living like that are suffering greatly. Their own well-being is suffering greatly, and they are burning out and having a miserable experience. Nobody's helped in the process. And now more than ever, that discernment is required and necessary. Simple. You can feel it. And the way this feels, it's a two-way situation. Somebody needs assistance. You are able to provide it. And if they are willing and ready to do their part, it's such a symbiotic experience that it feels good to both. And energy levels go up rather than down. Even though you might invest a lot of time or work or whatever, but energy levels go up because everybody's doing their part. When that isn't the case, you got to let go. That's it. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, I encourage you here. This is perfect. They are? Good. I'm glad you're happy with me, but friends, even if you weren't, I'd still be glad. There's one more thing. One thing that and it was in the beginning of this live stream that we talk about so much, just Christine and I in our conversations in the car and everywhere, is this supportive field It's high consciousness field. The FLFE field is just something that's been a godsend, a blessing in so many lives. Um, I don't know how else to explain it, but just imagine it's sort of a cold winter, and there are two options that you have. The one is that you keep moving constantly and trying to feed that fire and trying to stay warm with every trick that you could think of, or you could turn on the heat and not worry about it and simply have a warm atmosphere to do whatever you need to do. That's sort of kind of like how FLFE works in the consciousness arena. This spiritual quantum technology maintains a high level, high consciousness field of 550. It doesn't mean you rise to that. It doesn't mean it does work for you. It's a field that maintains that level so you can easily and in a better way solve things, do things. And the feedback that we've been getting from those who've tried it and then also stayed on and actually subscribed to it is just the one of the things that I hear most often is more harmony, more union, especially with this subject, right? When people of different perceptions and perceptions of realities are inhabiting the same space. What has happened with the help of FLFE is way more harmony and union and forgiveness energy, and that's just so beautiful. Then people have had wonderful health journeys. People have had wonderful financial journeys. That's one of the big ones. Just opportunities and opportunities arise and obstacles removed. So this is one of the link is in the video in the live stream description on top, and the link's going to be in the pinned comment after the live stream ends. So and you can start your trial, no credit card, no accidental subscriptions. Literally, you just start your trial. You don't have to give them any financial information. They don't want that. They want you to experience it first. And then if you want to, they'll walk you through it. But it has.
But they're not selling love or
no. So they're not selling there. So this has nothing to do with AI. You don't have to buy a device or download an app. This is a technology that works on the principle of quantum entanglement. And so developed over many years by the people with the highest integrity we've ever seen in the business world. They see business as a spiritual practice, and 90% of what they do is service, 10% is business that allows them to do the 90% of the service. We've come to the conclusion, this is our opinion, that FLFE is one of the most important services in the world today. And so by becoming, first try it, and then if it works for you, wonderfully, by becoming a subscriber, you are literally allowing for so many other people in other areas in the world to be gifted that service. That's just one thing, but first experience it for yourself. And if you do, and those who are on the service, please remember, drink a lot of very good H2O. You need to stay hydrated more than ever for this to fully symbiotically work with your whole system in your body. So that's just something we recommend. And there's many videos we've done on it. And you just click on a link in the video description and later in the pinned comment. Give it a try. Read up on all the science. Read up on all the studies. Actually, there's a really, really famous scientist and researcher that is soon joining the FLFE team officially. We're going to interview him. He's written books, and he's going to bring I think, the scientific observation of what FLFE does to a whole new level, and make it accessible. I think together we can make this accessible to many, many, many more people that can benefit from this. And here's what we have done.
Can you comment the link real quick? Everyone's asking.
Okay, I'll pull up the link if I can find it here while I'm talking. So here's what we have done. When you do sign up for a subscription, then what you get to do is do a pay it forward service. I think a few of those pay it forward. So you can gift this to some project or a person. And what we have done, we have gifted this to some people that we told about this, and then we've gifted it to someone we haven't told about. So we simply had the service turned on for them, and just observed what happened in their lives. Never told them what has happened, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing what has transpired in their lives, and they don't even know. Uh, please don't think we're sneaky. We have a very wonderful relationship with that person, and we have an agreement that we can share with each other what's beneficial. So we honor the principles of choice. The link is in the live chat here on YouTube. So I would just encourage you to help yourself, your family, your business by activating this field and by giving it a try. Um, the EMF mitigation has been one of the biggest things for us. We live in a zone that's been built up like many others, and even though we are making our way out into further and farther away from those zones, they're appearing everywhere, and it's been very, very difficult for Christine and I with energy levels and the constant bombardment. And the mitigation, because of the field, is so feelable that when we walk into our house, it's like walking into a bubble, because it is a bubble. So that's one of the big things. And sleep has been one of the huge things for us too. Our sleep in the last 8 months since we've been on a service or so has been absolutely sleep like I haven't had in years. And I just thought that's it for me on the sleeping journey. I would always sleep for 4 or 5 hours, get up and start my morning practices, and then start work and whatnot. And when I had, when we had children, and when you have lighter sleep, you listen, you hear everything, you want to be there for them. But now they're old enough that I could actually have some deep sleep again, and I'm having it, and I'm so thankful to the FLFE journey. All right, my friends, thank you again. Thank you for being here with us. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll be back with you again very, very soon.